Notre Dame and Stanford today in Notre Dame Stadium. Is this a rivalry? Well, Stanford has won 8 of the last 14 games. I'm not sure that Notre Dame looks at it quite the same way, but that makes it a rivalry. This is Irish Illustrated's pregame instant analysis brought to you by RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana. Stanford, not a very good football team this year. They haven't been for a few years, but what does that have to do with anything? 2 years ago, we stood here and talked about how Notre Dame was going to dominate Stanford. Notre Dame lost 16-14. I don't think that's going to happen again today, but Stanford is a rivalry.
Yeah, it's beware of the one-way rival. We used to say that against Boston College, against Michigan State. Maybe Stanford, not quite the level Boston College was back in the day for the one-way rival, but they weren't in 2022 either. Look, the recipe for Stanford to stay close to Notre Dame is how they beat Syracuse. Pressure the quarterback. They got 4 or 5 sacks on Kyle McCord. Picked him off twice. Riley Leonard hasn't been picked off since he was picked off twice against Northern Illinois. But that is the recipe to keeping it close against Notre Dame. Their offense is not a finished product. Stanford's not going to go out and score 21 points up and down the field on Notre Dame's defense. In fact, they have no shot at doing that. But short fields can turn into touchdowns. That's the recipe for the Cardinal success.
Well, and that's what we saw Louisville do. More than anything is that Louisville capitalized on Notre Dame miscues, being the fumbled kickoff to open the game or what have you. And to your point, TP, yeah, it has to be considered a rivalry when the worst Stanford team of those 14 meetings that you referenced is the one that beat Notre Dame but was bad enough to get David Shaw fired. And so I think that's significant, but I also note that Marcus Freeman in his young coaching career is undefeated coming out of a bye week. I think this team desperately needed the time off to get healthy, to have some more efficient practices, some more effective practices. I think that they had grown quite chippy leading into that Louisville game, and a lot of extracurriculars, if you will, on the practice field. And so I think this has been a welcome reset, and Stanford can play absolutely free, absolutely loose, because this is as big a game as the Cardinal will play all year. Notre Dame begins seven consecutive games of pressure ratcheting up with each and every week.
What I think is interesting is all week we've been talking about Stanford needs Ashton Daniels on the field, and it appears that he will be ready to go and answer the call at quarterback. The thing is, he's a quarterback that has thrown 5 interceptions in the last 7 quarters that he's played. He didn't play last week against Virginia Tech, and he has been prone to throwing interceptions. He threw 2 against Stanford in a victory and then 3 against Clemson before he was injured. So they need him, but career-wise, or at least the last 2 years, his touchdown to interception ratio is 16-14. So if he does play for Stanford to win, he's going to have to play better than that.
Yeah, he'll have to play as he did in the first 20 minutes, as he did out in Palo Alto when Stanford took a lead there. But even that, they were using some gadget plays. They're not beating Notre Dame straight up offensively. But what Daniels does is he gives them the ability to pass the ball, because Justin Lamson cannot pass the ball against most teams. Definitely not against Notre Dame. Our insider Jackson Moore mentioned, hey, take a look at Chris Davis. He's only had 26 carries, but over 7 yards a carry on those carries. You mentioned he's kind of a workman-like runner. That's fine with Stanford. If he's going to get 4.2 yards per carry today, that is what they need to stay close. Interesting for me is, can Notre Dame stay with this strong man-to-man approach when you have the ultimate jump ball and Io Manor on the other side? Because he can beat on a given play from the 50-yard line Benjamin Morrison or Christian Gray or Leonard Moore. Notre Dame's going to have faith in that, but it is also the one way to get a deep touchdown on Notre Dame is if you try to take him one-on-one, he's been getting double-teamed all year.
This is a great opportunity for Notre Dame's offense to revive its passing game. Mike Denbrock, we talked all week about, okay, this is a great team to throw the ball down the field, but you don't go to that exclusively. Right. You're a quality running team with Riley Leonard, with Jeremiah Love in particular, those two, so you have to mix that in. He's not just going to send the ball down the field play after play. However, Stanford is giving up 8.2 yards per pass attempt. They are very, very vulnerable to a passing game, and it'd be a great game for Riley Leonard to really build upon his confidence that he gained through 6.5 quarters. He needed a week off to get healthier, but he probably didn't need that week to break the string of better football played by Riley Leonard.
And quite frankly, when the three of us were there visiting around Mike Denbrock on Tuesday, I thought he exuded more confidence. I thought that you could tell he's excited to get back out there and get to work and get it back into a game situation with Riley Leonard, with what he very strongly believes is an offense that's continuing to grow and evolve. And I just think that this is a huge opportunity game for Notre Dame. T.O.'s made the comment all week, if this is a close, tight, one-score game going into the fourth quarter, it's a bad omen for the Irish. I completely agree with that. I also contend if Notre Dame goes out and handles business the way it absolutely should, it can be equally as positive an omen and help Notre Dame jumpstart its way into these next 2 road games, then another bye week, and then spend the month of November playing for your CFP lives.
It should be noted that that the Stanford kicker Kenny has converted 8 of 9. His only miss was a 53-yarder.
They always have a good kicker.
Yeah, they do.
Joshua Carty, and who was your guy? Conrad Ukropina dropped one in our laps in 2015.
Fell right at our feet
right
as
there.
we stood in the end zone. So, I mean, if it comes down to that kind of game, Stanford is well equipped there. Tim, what else are you looking at as a key to? I guess the key to a Stanford upset at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is the staying close situation. I would make Riley Leonard beat me with some throws at mid-range and downfield. Make that happen. Make him hit some of those things. If he does, you're going to lose. If he doesn't, you have a shot. You were going to lose anyway. Probably make him hit something he hasn't hit this year. That's I would challenge him and make that happen, because you have to stop Notre Dame's running game. You have to stop Riley Leonard running. If he runs the ball well and Jeremiah Love gets going, it's lights out.
What do you see, JB?
Well, and then the Stanford-Syracuse game, in which the Cardinal traveled cross country and got the big win, I would note that, yes, they forced Kyle McCord into some turnovers, got to him, hit him a lot, but Kyle McCord is a prototypical pro-style drop-back quarterback. He's not a threat with his legs. I don't think I've seen a ton from Stanford this season consistently affecting the quarterbacks, and they haven't faced anybody, in my opinion, quite as dynamic with his legs as Riley Leonard, and growing confidence for Riley Leonard. So I just don't think that Notre Dame has a defense that will allow Stanford to consistently drive the field, and as long as Notre Dame takes care of the ball, I just think Notre Dame should handle business.
The Cardinal versus the Irish for the 38th time here today in Notre Dame Stadium. We'll speak with you after the game. Look for Irish Illustrated Overtime.